call is now being recorded.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Eric?
Hey.
Hey, Eric, how's it going, man? Hey, I want to go ahead and welcome you back to You Have a Collect Call From, and we're going to be getting into part 2 once again. And this is going to be attempt 2 at part 2, if that makes any sense. You know, we were having some technical difficulties yesterday, with the audio, and then, my daughter coming in and needing some assistance with her drawings and whatnot. So we ended up calling it a day and not running a full session. So I really appreciate you being able to call back today and getting with us in the air. And we're currently live on YouTube and on TikTok. We're on both right now.
Okay. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Glad to be back. For sure.
That's right. So how was your day today? How's it going over there where you're at? You're currently at Centinela level 3 state prison, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're over here. Yeah, it's day was cool. Day was good. Today was what's today? Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, today's hump day.
Yep, it is.
This is one of the yeah, just getting through the week. Downhill here from here on out. Just waiting for that Friday. Just like many people out there, like even in here, like TGIF, like especially when you got a job and you're busy most of the day and things like that. So it was good. I had a good work day. So stayed busy and just push through it. Felt a little tired towards the end of the day, but nothing major. Yeah.
Okay. So last time we spoke, so like I mentioned earlier on, we were on part 2. Or where we left off, or you left off on your journey was, I think you were like in your teens, and you had just got your first arrest, and that's kind of like where we left off. So if you want to go ahead and do a recap, and for anybody that's new, that this would be the first time them listening to your journey, you want to go ahead and go over that, and then we'll go ahead and continue and see where the night takes us tonight.
For sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. Freaking that was my first arrest was probably like freshman year. I was probably like 14 years old, and I ended up getting busted for a sack of marijuana. I had a bunch of weed on me. It was close to my birthday. Me and a friend decided to celebrate early, during this time I was really like deep into my addiction.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Hello.
Already like messing up. Yeah.
Okay, it went off for a quick moment after we got the prompt, but yeah, go ahead. We're good. Hey, good evening, Ms. Gomez.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, good evening. Yeah, man. So, yeah, that was my first arrest. 14, and yeah, we decided to hit the gate one time, and we ended up getting busted by these bicycle patrol around my school. There was a lot of ditching during the time, and a lot of truancy, and so they were trying to limit that, So they started doing that around my high school and things like that, and I remember getting busted for that for the first time, and I was turning almost turning 15. Like I said, it was close to my birthday and stuff like that, and we got arrested, man. And I was like, damn, it was very. What's crazy was that I mean, thinking back on it now, you would think it was like it would be like an eye opener experience, you know. But I don't know why. I guess during it's like just thinking back on it right now, like just being so careless as to like about consequences and things like that, and being so caught up in just the high life, just getting high and just not caring about much. It just, I don't know, it didn't really have that much of an effect on me at the time, to like, as far as like to keep me from continuing the same behavior, you know? And so it was like, yeah, I got arrested, and I remember during that time I felt more like damn, I believe I'm losing all this weed, instead of thinking like, damn, I'm about to go to jail, you know, like what the heck? Like I'm not even thinking of that kind of thing, that kind of stuff. But of course, afterwards, it's like, damn, now I gotta face the music, you know, my parents and things like that. And so yeah, that was my first experience getting arrested. But like I said, it was during a time where I just didn't really care much. Didn't really care much for school, for education, for consequences and things like that. And I guess if I would attribute it to anything, it'd just be like, I mean, I guess, you know, they say it all starts in the home. And so I guess some of the stuff that, you know, I was dealing with in the household, as far as like my dad having a major alcohol problem and things like that, and the physical abuse in the household and things like that, and you know, just on a bad path, you know, choosing to do wrong instead of right, even if he knew a little better, you know. But yeah, that's where I think I remember that leaving off right there. We ended up hitting this fence. We ended up hitting this fence on one of the streets, and as we jumped the fence, me and a couple buddies, as soon as we hit this fence, we're like trying to be aware of our surroundings, like, 'cause we ain't trying to get caught, you know, and we're talking all this mess about like, man, if I see the cops or anything, I'm just gonna hit this fence again. I'm gonna be back to school. I'm gonna be gone. They ain't gonna catch me. And you know, we're talking all this stuff and things like that. And it just so funny that as we're walking, we're saying all these things, and then this whole time, like probably like 5 minutes into our walk down the street, we got two patrol officers, like bike patrol, right behind us, like listen to our whole conversation, like, what? Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you're doing what? And they just pretty much just hand us up. We didn't do a damn thing. You know, we were talking all this, we're going to do this and that, and when the time came, we just froze, and like, damn, got arrested for it, got searched, put us up against the fence, searched us, found my weed, found my friend's weed, and yeah, and just started interrogating us, like asking us questions, like, where do you get this weed from, and things like that. And you know, we knew enough, like, you know, to not say nothing, you know, not trying to get anybody else in trouble and things like that. And so it was just like, yeah, you know, like we found it, or you know, we bought it from some guy we didn't know and whatnot. And yeah, so they ended up taking us in. And like I mentioned last time, it was like we tried so hard to keep things from our parents. I remember my friend, they asked him, like, so what is this? Is it like personal use, or is it for another reason, right? Because he had a good amount on him himself, and him not wanting his parents to find out that he smoked weed, he was like, no, that's not, it's not personal use. I sell it, you know, like like what the hell, you know? You're thinking, right? It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I look at him like, and we're right there cuffed up, and when I hear him say this, I look at him like, what? Like, dude, like, what do you, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you, you know? And he kind of got the hint, and he was just like, oh shoot, like I'm telling these dudes I'm a drug dealer, you know, like, oh shoot, he's like, nah, never mind, yeah, nah, I smoke it, and they're like, and they looked at it, they even looked at him like what the, all right, like, so do you sell it or you smoke it? And he's like, nah, I use it, and they're like, all right, cool, man. And then they took us in, man. They took us in, and they took us to the station, and you know, being over there, everything starts to settle in, and it's like, damn, you start regretting your decisions a little bit, like thinking like, man, probably shouldn't have jumped that fence, probably should have jumped another fence. But we're not thinking about, well, at least I'm not thinking about like, man, I probably shouldn't have had that weed, or I shouldn't be using weed, or I shouldn't be smoking. I'm more thinking like damn, I should have hit the other side, and we wouldn't have got caught, you know, which is crazy. And yeah, so they called my dad up. And he ended up having to pick me up. And I remember walking out the parking lot. He signed for me, and I believe they gave me a court date to come back. They gave me about a court date to come back, and I don't think I ever made it back to that court date or anything like that, because probably like soon after, it was when maybe not that soon after, but I don't ever remember getting any having to deal with anything in regards to that first arrest. But yeah, that was my first arrest, and then but I do remember that afterwards, because after that arrest is I believe when I hit juvenile hall for the first time at the age of 15. So that was like before my birthday, and then by the time I turned 15, I ended up going to juvenile hall.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
For the first time, yeah, and that was scary, you know. Freaking, yeah, it was that one was kind of scary, getting arrested for the first time, and actually going, like, suffering like major consequences as far as like picking up a case and looking at some time and things like that. And but yeah, and I was like 15 around that time. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but I could, or
Yeah,
want
no,
me to touch on something else.
definitely,
But,
no, definitely. I
so,
definitely. So the first time you got arrested, you went to the halls, or you were just taken to the police station and then released to your parents?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was just taken to the police station and let go to my dad. Yeah, released to my dad. Yep. I don't remember what consequences I suffered for that time, though. I probably got my butt kicked and stuff like that, but I don't really remember like any legal consequences as far as that. Yeah.
You know what? Normally, for the first time, normally, well, I could speak about my experience. I think my first two to three arrests as a juvenile, nothing ever happened. You know, I was just taken down to the police station, and then a few days later, I had to come back to the police station, and they talked to my mom. And I think, you know what? I think they might have sent me to like some diversion program where I would go talk to somebody. But as far as like legal consequences, as far as going to court or having to do any like Ricardo M time or going to camp like that, I didn't end up going to camp until I think my first camp program was like in 97. So I was already like 16 by the first time I went to but I had already like maybe like 4 or 5 arrests, or maybe even more by the time I went to my first camp program.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I think I just.
I
think I just had that one.
yeah.
Yeah. Before I actually hit you in the hall.
Yeah, I got a few. How many times after, how many arrests did it take you for you to finally end up in juvenile hall?
Man,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
shoot, that's a 60-second warning.
Yeah.
I think it was just that one time that I went to. They arrested me for that possession. That I went to juvenile hall. To court, and then after that, I ended up in juvie, Silmar juvenile hall. But let me call you back, and then I'll continue.
Okay.
Continue on with all right.
All right, cool. We'll be here.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So right now, for those of you that are just joining us right now, we're currently on the line with ERICK Fuentes, and this would be part 2 of his journey. We originally started, I think, on Monday, and I think we were on for like about 2 hours, going through his first memory as a kid, and now we're at the part where he's in his teenage years. First time getting arrested, his first brush with the law. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna get a lot more interesting once he gets a little bit older. And for those of you who are wondering, he's currently in prison. He's been in prison since 2006, I want to say. And so he's been down, quite some years already at this point. Some people might not think it's a lot of years, but shit, when you start getting into years, being away from your family and home and your loved ones, you start to feel it. Right? At least I could, not that I did any prison time or anything like that, but I would do some days here, a few months there, a few weeks over here, and here we go.
This call is now being recorded.
Esta es Global Tel Link.
Global Tel Link.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5. Here we go.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, man.
So you go you end up going to the halls. What was the first thing you thought about? Because I know the first time I hit the halls, man, I was scared because I used to hate that they would have to take your blood. So I remember the first time I walked into the holding area, man. I knew I was gonna stay because nobody was gonna pick me up. My mom, the phone wasn't working. My mom didn't know where I was at. They couldn't get in contact of her, for her or with her. And I end up going to the halls. Man, they tell me they're gonna take my blood. I start crying. I'm like, nah, I don't want to, nah. I don't want to. So then they ended up giving me a break. They didn't end up making me they didn't end up taking my blood, but they're like, hey, if you're here on whatever day, we're gonna take your blood. So I was like, all right, then cool. So then I went to my first court date, and boom, I got released. By that time, my mom already knew something was up, and she came to pick me up, and that was that. So I definitely wanted to hear about hear your experience in Silmar Juvenile.
Yeah, man. So what happened was that, and if you like, I'll give you some context as to what that arrest consisted of.
Yeah, for sure.
So during that time, I was like 15 years old, and I remember that. So my brother, I have an older brother too, right? So my older brother during that time, he was already into gangs and stuff like that. He was already gangbanging. So his friends, his homies would always be around. I would be around. So I was exposed to a lot of that lifestyle at an early age, because of that. And so it was like his homies were like my homies, even though I wasn't from anywhere at the time. And
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
happened that I was asked by one of his friends at the time to accompany him to go collect his money from this dude that I guess he had made. Well, not a guess, but I know he had made like a deal with a transaction with and he owed him money, and he had been taking a long time to pay up and things like that. So I was aware of like everything that was going on, but as far as like, and at the time, right, this is what I thought, like, as far as like my involvement, I was just like, well, like I'm just doing the homie a favor, like I'm just going along with this guy, because we all knew this the person that had owed him this money, and so what ended up happening was we went to his house, and old boy came out talking about like, man, I ain't got it, and he had us he had my friend, or our friend, a mutual friend, take us over there to his house. He's like, oh, I got you right now, you know, I'll and it was like $35. It was over like a half ounce of weed or something, you know, at the time. And so yeah, and so we went to his house, and the homie, he was just fed up already by that time. Like, this was playing games, you know, like, just shoot me my money, and you know, we're good. And so we went over there, and then old boy still, he came out with all these excuses. I remember at the time to our buddy, like, hey man, I ain't got it, and it's not. And so what basically happened was my friend got fed up, and he told him, you know what, just for the meantime, let me get your watch and your chain, and then when you pay me, I'll give it back to you. And old boy got defensive, and he took off on the homie. He took off on the boom, but the homie was kind of big, right? He was a bigger dude, so he took those hits like a champ, and he just laid him out right after, like bam, and so he whooped on him, took his watch, took his chain, and we left, right? And so the whole time, I'm just there. I'm just like tripping out on this whole situation. Like, oh shoot, like, what the hell is going on here? You know, like damn, right? But I'm like, at the time, I'm not thinking anything of it. Like, I know now of
Hey, Eric.
of my yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. By any chance, when you're speaking right now, do you have the mic a little bit closer to your mouth? Just because one of the listeners here is saying that the sound's kind of low.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's better right there.
Is
Yep.
that better?
Oh, way better. Yep.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I was just letting it hang a little bit. So you want me to go back, or should I just keep going?
Yeah. Go back. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah. So what ended up happening was they ended up getting into an altercation. I'm there. I realized my involvement now that I've reflected on these things, and like and went back to see like what was my involvement. Like, I was as guilty as the homie that beat this dude up just for being there and not saying anything about it, or like not trying to prevent anything, right? So going back now, I see my involvement in this, you know, like I wasn't, and at the time I was, you know, you think like I didn't do nothing, you know, like I'm just there, like with like I didn't do nothing wrong, but the fact of the matter is that what was wrong was that you didn't do anything about it, you know, you didn't, because that's unacceptable, you know, knowing what I know now and my change and my recovery and things like that. But at the time, I was just like I was 15 years old as well, you know, so I'm just like, damn, okay, like, this is crazy, you know. And so when that happened, we left and we went back to my house and whatever, you know. My brother's friend, he had the guy's chain and his watch and whatever, so he ended up getting paid, and the thing kind of went south or whatever, you know, but whatever. And so behind that, I guess, like probably about a week later, you know, I'm kicking it in my buildings. It's me, my brother, and we're in the front of my building, and we're chilling, you know, and we see like a couple patrol cars cruise by, whiz by fast, like shoom, like, oh shoot, like, oh, something's going down, you know, like, let's go back in the building, because, you know, living in those type of neighborhoods, you kind of pick up on the cues and things like that. Like, oh, it's time to go inside because something's happening, and you're trying to get caught up. And so around that time, so we went in the building, and this is what's crazy is this, right? That when we went in the building, next thing you know, it's freaking got the helicopter up in the air, got the ghetto bird up there flashing everywhere, and we're just like, what the hell's happening? Like, what the hell? And then and my smart ass, or I don't know what you want to call it, but like my dumb ass is looking at this helicopter flashing, like looking for somebody, and me and my brother were smoking weed and whatnot, and I told my brother, like, look, fool, I'm gonna check this out, like I'm gonna mess with these foods and stuff like that, right? And so I start running into my building. I start running like I'm running from something, like I'm the one they're looking for, right? But I know that I'm out. At least to me, I had no idea that who they were looking for or what, but I knew that it wasn't me. And so I start running around my buildings and stuff like that, and I'm running everywhere, and then they finally just freaking put the spotlight on me, and it's following me now, and I'm just like, oh shit. And once it really dialed in on me, I was like, damn, I stopped running, and then my heart started beating, and I'm like, oh shoot, like what did I do, right? And sure enough, man, turns out that I walked towards the front of my building, a bunch of cops run in to the a bunch of officers run into my buildings and just hand my ass up. It turns out that I was the one they were looking for. Right? And
Man, what are the odds of that, right?
Right? You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy, and I was like, what the hell? And they're just like, what's your name? And they're like, what do they call you? And things like that, and I'm just like, what the hell? And they're like, and not even that, they just asked me, like, is your name, or they asked me a moniker right at the time, and they're like, is your name such and such? And I'm just like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, right? Not knowing no better, like, what the hell? But yeah, and they're just like, boom. So they cuffed me up, they cuffed my brother up, and they just take us out to the street, man, out to the front, and there's a bunch of patrol cars. And I was just like, damn, and I'm thinking in my head, like, what the hell? Like, what is happening here? What is going on? And I had no idea. I had no idea. And they put us out there. They put us in front of the high beams, in front of the lights. They flashed us. I guess they had somebody identifying us, so they had me and my brother stand next to each other, and they had the witness or the victim like come up there, and they're just like pointing me out, like, and I'm like, what the hell what is this? And I had no idea, man. I had no idea. It turned out that it was for that issue that had just happened, like probably about a week or two ago. And the guy ends up pressing charges. He ends up calling the police, and he ends up making this whole and the thing is, like, I know what really happened, right? And so what the dude said isn't what happened, but you know, I mean, I whatever, like I give, like, he made up a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so I ended up getting arrested for that, and he said that I kicked him, hit him, or something like that. I never touched him, man. I never did anything to him, but yet and still I was getting arrested for it. And it was, I mean, it was what it was, you know. Like, at the time I didn't get it. I didn't see my involvement in it. I didn't see the wrong in it. Now though, I see everything. I see everything clearly. Like, yeah, they had all the right to arrest me because, you know, like, I didn't do anything to help them out. Like, the dude, he was victimized. You know, he was victimized by me and my friend, or my brother's friend at the time. And so I get taken in for that, but I had no idea what I was facing. Like, I just knew that I was scared as hell. They had me in the back of the patrol.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
You're out, you know, like it's in a little neighborhood or whatever, and like all the people are out there just looking around. And man, the hardest thing was that like my mom was out there too, you know, and she's just looking, she's talking to my brother, and it was just like, damn, it's like, what the hell, you know? And it was like she's trying to come to the window and try to talk to me, and we're just like, hey, everything's gonna be all right, you know. My brother's reassuring her like everything's gonna be all right, like I had done nothing wrong, and so that was my first arrest, man. And when I hit them halls, it was scary, man. It was scary, you know. It was super late, you know, super late by the time I got there, and it's like they don't even ask you, like they're just like strip out and jump in the shower, and it's like an open shower, and it's like. And I'm just right there, like, what? Like you mean like get naked in front of you? Like what the hell? Like, really?
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
So like, all right. Like damn, it's so dehumanizing, you know? And you just and yeah, so that was like my first night, and I took my shower, and then they just put me in a holding tank, and I'm in there confused, not knowing what the hell is going on. I still didn't know what I was arrested for, but let me call you back, I guess, before this hangs up.
Yep. Hey, gracias. We'll be waiting.
All
right. So if you're joining us right now, we're currently in the middle of a call with ERICK Fuentes, and he's sharing his journey with us. You know where he's currently at right now. He's currently in Centinela State Prison, and these calls are live. These calls are live. So you're hearing it in real time, whether you're on YouTube or if you're on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, I would suggest you jumping on over to YouTube, checking out. You know, we got some other participants that have shared their journeys with us, and they're on their playlist. So we got, I think right now we're up to like either 13, 14, maybe even 15 different individuals that have shared their stories with us. Currently, the majority of them are coming out of Centinela State Prison. D yard, as in David, level 3, and I did have a few gentlemen that I had lined up for Calipatria, which would be a level 4 facility. All right, and here we go.
This call is now being
Esta es
recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
ERICK Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello, ERICK.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, whenever you see David or Jesse, tell him Fuentes.
Fuentes.
Hey, be like, hey, Ray, hey.
I see the food every day.
Man, just let him know. Hey, let him know what time it is.
I will.
Hey, tell David, hey, can you say your last name like this?
Yeah. How does that sound? You know? Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
for sure, man. I think him later today too. Yeah, both of them.
All right. So, hey, so just to touch on what you were just sharing with us right now a moment ago. So, you guys, the kid that ultimately ended up becoming the victim, he owed your buddy some money, right? And
Right.
he was trying to get away from doing that. He ended up running. You guys caught up to him, and then he ended up getting pretty much just robbed. You didn't from what I remember. I don't think you participated in the robbery, but just by you being there, you're as guilty as the person that or the aggressor, the person that actually took his property away, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
guilty by association.
Yep, yep. You know what? I recall, in school, something like that going down. Somebody getting robbed and me just being in the presence. But luckily, I didn't end up. The dude that got robbed, he didn't involve me. He ended up involving the other two dudes that were actually doing it. And me in that case, I was telling them, hey, just leave him alone. This dude's a normal kid. Like why you guys messing with him? And then hopefully,
Right.
I'm hoping that's the reason that I didn't end up catching a case over it. Um, but
Hope
sometimes,
so.
when things like that happen, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If you're part of the lifestyle, then dale gas. But if you're not, if you're just like an innocent bystander, that's not cool.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly what it was. And you did absolutely the right thing. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do as abiding citizens of our society. Law-abiding citizens for sure.
Hey, can you do me a favor? And I think the microphone might be a little bit away. Would you
Yeah.
mind getting a little bit closer? All right, perfect.
Yep. Yep. Not bad. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, yeah, that's what a law-abiding citizen is supposed to do, man. You know, like we're supposed to report things like that. Like you're supposed to like help out the victim, not do nothing about it. Or just none of that. So yeah, absolutely, you did the right thing for sure.
And it's funny because later on I ended up running into one of the dudes that ended up getting well, I didn't even know they got arrested. Till years later I ran into him, one of the guys, and I ran into him. This was in middle school. I ended up running into him in junior high, and he was like, "Hey, do you remember that incident?" And you guys had told me, you had told me not, not to victimize the kid. I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, we ended up catching a case. I'm still on probation over it. It was juvenile probation." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Man, you got lucky, because you didn't participate." And I was like, "Man, that's something that growing up, I wasn't into, like victimizing people like that, robbing, like taking stuff away, because me, I got robbed a few times, and it feels
Right.
nasty. It's scandalous, like we're while I was in a real jacked up neighborhood, and it would when for my mom to buy stuff, she would struggle, because she's paying for rent, she's paying for food, and keeping clothes on her back, and then you got somebody comes along and they victimize you for the little stuff that you got. So man, it's a nasty feeling. So that taking stuff from people, it just never set well with me.
For sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, that's just unacceptable. That's unacceptable behavior. Um, Knowing what I know now,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
back then, it used to just, back then it's like it was all right. Like even like I even when that happened, I kind of was like well that's what he gets. That's
yeah.
the way that I used to think. But I no longer think that way no more. I recognize. You know, so yeah. But yeah, that's what ended up. So yeah, essentially that was really that was what I was arrested for at the time, and that was what ended up happening for sure.
Oh, and you know what? I want to touch on something else too, and one of the reasons too I didn't like that was because crimes like that they will get you to YA, and man, you would hear stories about YA, and that was like one place I did not want to go to. You would hear all these horrific stories of this, that, and the other happening. I'm like, shit, I don't, like I'm cut up for the halls. I don't think I'm cut up for YA. YA is a that's a whole
Yeah,
that's a whole different animal there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hell yeah, and just wait till I tell you like what I was facing.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah. So that's yeah. So I remember like my first night. It was like, man, taking. They have you. I'm scared. They have me stripping out, but naked in front of this adult. This staff member, and having to jump in this cold shower. And I don't even remember if I even had sandals or nothing, but there was like I don't even think they.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
That kind of stuff, and so they put me in my little cell, like in the remember the boats, the beds, the boats that they had, and inside the halls.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You just it went quiet there for a moment.
Oh.
Okay, so you get to the hall. So they when they placed you, did they place you in a unit? Did they end up putting you in the box? What was where did you end up? If you remember?
No, yeah, I remember. I remember all that stuff perfectly because it never went away. It was definitely a traumatic experience for me, being the first time ever arrested, and I mean not the first time ever arrested, but the first time in juvenile hall. It's like I remember everything vividly. I was in L&M. I was like the intake unit in Silmar Juvenile Hall, and yeah, they placed you in there, and I remember getting put to sleep on a boat. I don't know if you remember the boats, like the bunk, like it's like a little boat with a mat in it, where you sleep in your cell. I don't know if you remember that.
You know what?
You know what I'm talking about?
So I do remember sleeping on the floor when I went to camp in Silmar, but I don't remember them having boats. We just had like those really, really thick mattresses. It was like 3 mattresses in one. It was really thick. I would say maybe like 8 inches thick, or maybe even 12 inches thick, and that's why we would sleep on the floor. But I don't remember them having any type of like boats. I've seen them like on TV, like when they have these TV shows like 60 Days In, where they have people walking with their boat, and they would have like but in the halls I never saw any boats.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, they're just like little. Well, they're not little. They're like plastic beds that are on the floor, and they're like little canoes, and it has a mat in it. It's like a mat-sized boat, and like you sleep in it. Your mat's in it, and then you sleep inside the boat and things like that. And yeah, man, it was so scary. It was terrifying. Like, man, it's dark. You're in that cell by yourself, and you're just like, and then like I didn't even know like what I was in there for, and I'm trying to break my head. Like, what the heck? Like, what did I like? What happened? Like, what is all this? And I'm thinking, man, this is nonsense. Like, this has got to be a mistake. Like, I'm gonna get out. Like, I should get out soon, and things like that. And it was like, hell nah. Like, it wasn't a mistake. Like, I was in there for something. I didn't know what at the time. I had no idea. But I was in there, and just the confusion added to the anxiety added to the fear. And you're just in there like, damn, like the stress, like, damn, now what do I do? And never haven't been in that type of environment. It was scary, It was scary for me as a kid, as a 15-year-old. But at the same time, like, I knew that, like, I had to be tough, especially growing up the way I grew up, man, in my household, in my environment, and things like that. It was like you just gotta be tough, like don't show no fear, like, be tough. Like, this isn't the place to show any type of weakness. That was like my mentality at the time. So I try to hold it together, but at the same time, deep inside, that fear was definitely there. That scariness, like, shit, like, what is this? Like, damn, how do I navigate this stuff? And so yeah, they had me in L&M. They had me in L&M in that unit, and from there they like ship you out to, depending on what you're in there for, they'll send you to a certain other unit, and yeah, so I remember going to another unit while I awaited and while I awaited freaking court dates and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, I think it was CF that I got sent to, and it wasn't the HRO unit, the high risk offender unit yet, but it was like the step prior to having to go there, depending on your crime and your case and things like that. Because during that time too, they had just created they were barely beginning to they were already up, but they had the compounds where it was like they had all like the kids fighting life and unit and things like that, and Silmar Juvenile Hall, right? They had the compounds up already and all that, and so it was like a miniature prison in the middle of the juvenile hall campground, and so they sent me to EF, and like I said, I didn't even know what I was in there for, and it's like you come out to breakfast and everybody's like, where you from? Everybody's banging on you, like, where you from? And things like that. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, damn, like, this is not the spot. Like, it was scary, It was like people were just, the other kids, everybody was tough. Everybody was trying to see what you were made of. And at the time, I wasn't from anywhere, but my brother was. My brother was already gangbanging, like I said. He was already part of a gang and things like that. And so I was just like, I was kind of familiar with I was very familiar with that lifestyle growing up in it and being exposed to it at a young age, And so it was like, fools were like hitting me up, and I was just like, damn, like, what do I do? Like, do I want to be like an outcast and be like, nah, I don't bang, and then get picked on and stuff like that? Or do I want to be like tough, like, nah, I do roll with somebody, and so ultimately I was just like, man, I didn't know, and so it was like, in order, like, you're thinking about survival, I'm thinking about survival, so I'm just like I don't bang, but I roll, I kick it with these dudes and this and that, and this is where my brother's from and things like that, so I'm trying to like represent something, like have something to like hold me up and things like that, and yeah, man, and I don't know if that was the best decision. It probably wasn't, right? Because of that, it turned into a lot of fighting, man. A lot of fights, like what, like and gangs and you have your enemies and your rivals and things like that. And so like when dudes are really about their business,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
They were really with it. They're like, what? They're running it, So it was like, oh shoot. And so like that's where like I started like really fighting a lot, like because of my decision to say like, like that I belong to something or somewhere. I think to try to like portray somebody tough and like not to be messed with, because in that environment, man, you get eaten up. You getting up in that type of place, man. If
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
But before it hangs up, I'll just call you back.
Yeah, perfect. We'll be waiting for you. All right. So, hey, Iceman. Hey, I just saw your comments a moment ago. Hey, thank you for tapping in, Iceman. Also, ERICK. I'll tell ERICK right now. As soon as he comes back, I'll go and let him know. Keep his head up from LA and 818, the 818. And then, Iceman. So he's been down since 2000. And Iceman asks, how long is his current sentence, and how long has it been down? So he's been down since 2006. His sentence was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was 176 years to life. I might be off by a year or two, but yeah, he definitely got broken off. And Dodge Ram, Vermont, and Wilshire tapping in. That's right. Yeah, I grew up on back in 90.
Esta es Global Tellink.
93. I used to live off of.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de.
I used to live in that area right there.
Un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call.
This call is now being recorded.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
All right, so I want to read out some of the comments to you right here. So we got from this, and this would be from the YouTube side. This would be Scorpio Rising. She writes, "Good evening, Eric and James."
All right.
And
Good
then,
evening.
and we also got Iceman tapping in, and then we also got Jesus. Tell Eric I said what's up. Keep his head up from LA and 818.
Okay. Appreciate that. No, yeah, absolutely, man.
That's right.
Thank you.
And then Iceman wants
Yeah.
to know. He wants to know how long is his current sentence, and how long has he been down?
My current sentence right now, so I've been down 18 years. I'll have 18 years in March, and my sentence right now, my actual sentence is 170 years to life. Unfortunately, like I mentioned before, by the grace of God, I have an opportunity for YLP parole board, which is a 25 to life sentence, But my actual sentence is 170 years to life. But with my YLP, it drops me down to 25 years to life. Yep.
And then we got also a comment from Dodge Ram. He puts Vermont and Wilshire typing in, and then my response to that was, I grew up in that area back in '93. I was off of Vermont and 3rd Street, and I was there till like about '97, and then we moved to the jungles, and that's a whole different story right there.
Ooh. I'm familiar with that.
I moved into the jungles before I knew what I didn't know what the jungles was until years later after we moved out. I was like, shit, I lived there. I used to live in there. No wonder I used to luckily where we lived on towards the back on La Brea, so I didn't have to go into like all those other streets to get into my building. I could just go through the back. There was like a parking lot and stuff through the door, so that kind of saved me from a lot of the issues that other people were dealing with. So that was definitely a blessing. And then we also got Nando, shout out from Linwood. Hey, I'm familiar with Linwood too. My daughter used to live out there off of Imperial and is it no, and like Imperial and Atlantic. So yeah, I'm familiar with that area too. Mhm. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. All over the place. Yeah. Hey. So I know.
Yeah.
So right now, so you mentioned. So you were talking about the compound in Sylmar. So I remember the compound. Yeah, they had been building it for years. And I went to my second camp program in '98. I went to camp. I was in Camp Mendenhall, and I had came down. I came back from the halls to camp to Sylmar. I was taking my GED test, but I came back in '99. I think like in January of '99, and you're right. At that time, they were using the compound or part of the compound for a camp program, and I used to hate it because I went there, and in that unit, they treated it more stricter than being in camp. And I remember I didn't want to program. Like I got there and I was like, man, I'm not gonna deal with this shit.
Llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I'm not gonna deal with this. So when they were programmed, they would take them out to the day room, and I'm like, man, I'm not going. And the staffs were tripping out. They're like, hey, how come you don't want to come out? And it was unlike me because like my whole camp program, I would always participate in everything. Like I would always listen to what the staff were saying. But I came back to the halls, and I didn't want to deal with it. And then I remember there was this kid, the fuck ups. I don't know if you ever went to camp, but there would be certain dudes that they were just they were fuck ups. That's what they're known for. And we got there at the same time. This fool was like becoming like leadership. I'm like, what the hell? Like what kind of reverse world are we here? Like I'm the fuck up. I don't want to participate in nothing, and this fool's over here trying to become a I forgot what a trustee or whatever.
A crew chief. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
But
and
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So that was the last time I went to camp. After that, I went home in February. I was 18, and man, and then after that, I started my journey down in county jail.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You know, you start off in there. You start juvenile halls, camps, and next thing you know, it's county jails and eventually prison, man. That's kind of how it went. But fortunately for you, you got your shit together and you said, I'm good. You know, like so that's awesome.
You know what?
You know.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna front. Um, I wish I could tell you that. Yeah, when I got out of my last time that I went to county, I wish I could say like, yeah, you know what? I really did completely change my life. But I would be lying. Um, what happened was when I was in county, and I never did this prior to this. When I was going through the halls and constantly going back to county jail, I was never the type of person that would be like, you know what, I'm not coming back anymore. Like that's it. Like I'm gonna change my life because I knew I wasn't gonna change my life. But that last time I went to county jail, they told me that I was like pretty much at my last chance. And if I ever went back to court,
Right.
they were gonna max me out. And then I was like, shit, I don't want to go to prison. Hell no, I'm done. So what I did end up changing was the type of crimes I was committing, and that's what it was. But luckily, you know, I did have other interactions with the cops, but I would always get a break. They would let me go or whatever. So, but slowly, after years, my criminal activity started becoming less and less, and I wasn't participating as much. And now, where I stand, I don't participate. I think I'm about 95% crime free. I might do something here and there, but nothing like I might, jaywalk or I might do a little bit of speeding, but that's about it.
Right.
Most of my criminal mindset is I keep it under control. I always have the thoughts of doing things, but I keep myself in check just because
Sure.
of my position in the household. My family relies on me. I got a 5-year-old daughter, so I got people that depend on me, and then I wouldn't want to be away from the household, over something, trivial.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely, and for yourself as well. You ain't trying to put yourself through any of those things at all. As, either way. And so yeah, man, that's good, man. That's real good. That's awesome. That's awesome, James. For real.
Yeah, man. Hopefully one day, sooner than later, you're able to come out and experience this, for yourself. Because I mean, it's nothing like being on the street and being able to go to work and then making some honest money and buying your things, whatever you want, or man, just going out to eat, with your people.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Cause yeah, you get even in here, you get tired of asking, man. Like, hey, can I'm trying to go to the store, I need a package, or they got a food sale and things like that, and it's like, oh man, like it's very, it gets tiring, man. It gets tiring, You desire those things, like I do, honest living, have my own, make my own income, work, follow the rules, like this a whole transformation, like I, man, I want that.
Yep. And um, so you're there. What up? You said that you started letting people know that your brother was from a certain neighborhood, and then you were telling them that that's who, like, I guess like you're running with, or who you back up, since your brother was part of it. How did
Right.
that end up affecting you? Were people, once you let them know, were they still hitting you up? Like, did it become easier to be there once they figured that you were affiliated with somebody?
Yeah, I think I most definitely, like, you know, once they like seen, like, okay, like this was part of the struggle, or per se, like he's part of the lifestyle, all right, he's cool, but at the same time they also wanted to see, like,
is this dude down? Or like, how, what this guy made of and things like that. And so it was like, so then after that, it was like, you have to prove yourself, and it was like, and then like, people would even initiate like, oh, hey, there's some dude in this class that's from this neighborhood, and them knowing like that neighborhood and the neighborhood that like I'm kind of claiming you don't get along, it's like, what are you gonna do? And so they try to see, they try to size you up, they try to check out, see what you're made of and things like that, ball check you real quick, like see what's up. But and so yeah, it actually but at the same time it did like earn you a little bit of respect, or like a little bit of like yeah, I guess you would say respect or fear, or like people were like, all right, cool, like this dude's like, all right, he's with the business, or like, like he's down or whatnot, at the time. And so it did bring about some of that, but it also brought about a bunch of like of issues with other kids that were in there that were from my brother's rival gang, and so it was just like, well, like this is what you chose, and it was like, all right.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And honestly, I think because of that experience that I went through, eventually when I get out is what kind of solidified my decision to follow that path, ultimately to just be like, you know what, yeah, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to be, because of that experience, and like not wanting to get victimized, and like, standing for something, and then just the whole thing, because it was ugly, man. It was ugly, like a lot of violence, a lot of mistreatments, a lot of mistreating, and like even the staff in there, they were like, no help. It was like they were in on it, kind of like how you said, like you got the biggest mess up, and they'll put him in a leadership role, because it's like, ain't nobody gonna mess with this dude, like he's gonna have everybody else in line, and like, and if anything, like they'll even like let you go in the cell with him, and they let you fight, they let you get down, like no problem, and then just act like nothing happened. And so it was kind of like that, man. It was kind of like that. Like I started, like fighting a lot. Like I said, I started having to get into a lot of problems because of the decision that I had made, and like I said, because of that choice, it kind of solidified like my direction, my future, going forth from there, and so yeah, it's like, it came with the good and the bad, being affiliated and not, so it was like I chose to seem like I was affiliated to gain some kind of respect, some kind of fear, and be able to get along, but it also came with like having to prove yourself, having to fight, having to stand up, having to, present yourself in a certain way, carry this bravado about you, and things like that, and all that stuff is work too, man. Like it's not easy, wearing that mask. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy, and it's on a daily basis, every day, because that's just how it was in there. You woke up to the bullshit, you went to sleep to the bullshit, and it was like, damn, man, it was wild. It was wild, man.
Hey,
for sure.
Let me ask you something,
Yeah.
because I think Silmar was probably one of those places that I saw a lot of staff beating up kids. I mean, there's no other way to put it, like abusing kids. Did you ever see anything like that? I remember specifically one staff. They used to call him Big Lou. That
Le
fool had,
queda un restante de 60 segundos.
they called him Big Lou. He had 22-inch arms. That fool used to always line us up, and luckily I never got punched in the chest, but I saw a bunch of other people get punched in the chest, and it didn't look fun at all. It looked very painful.
Hell yeah. It was not. It was scary, man. It was scary, dude. Like, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely witnessed that kind of behavior from staff, where they're just
grab a kid by the neck and just throw him up against the wall. Like, what, you think you hard? Huh? Like, what you gonna do? And it's like, oh shoot, like what the hell? Grown-ass men, with kids, 13, 14, 15 years old, and it's like, oh damn, like, and yeah, so I witnessed a lot of that as well in there, and luckily I was never the one to provoke that kind of reaction.
All right, so the call got disconnected, and I did. Man, I remember that time that I went back to take. Oh no, sorry. That time I went back to Silmar because I had an ingrown toenail, so I needed to go see the doctor. And man, there was this one dude. There was this one kid from Radford Street that the staff he went off on the staff, and they ended up slapping him. The staff, it was a Moreno. He slapped him. And I was like, shit. I was like, oh man, like it's all bad here. It's all bad in this unit. And then that same kid, when I came home after I finished my camp program, I saw him on the news. He had escaped. They caught him. I think they had caught him in the McDonald's right there near Silmar. One of the staff saw him walking around.
This call is now being recorded.
Link. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Eric.
Yo.
Hey, let me ask you something. Yeah. Would you happen to have been in the halls in 1999?
No, I didn't hit the halls until 2003.
Oh, okay. How old were you in 1999?
In 99, I was 9, 10, 11, 12. I was like 12.
Oh, okay. The reason I'm asking is because when I was in one of the times I came back from camp due to medical, and there was this kid from Radford Street, and he was there for a hot one, and
Yeah.
and the staff, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I think he smacked his lips, I want to say, and then the staff came and slapped him. I was like, damn, they get down like that right here? Oh, no, man. It was all bad. Hey, so when that kid got slapped, man, I used to hate, the food I used to hate there? I used to hate that damn ham, that mystery ham. They used to give you ham, that seaweed, the milk, and then they would give you those graham crackers. And I didn't like the seaweed, and I couldn't mess with the ham. So what I did was I traded, I think, my seaweed and my ham, and I traded somebody, and I traded them for the graham crackers. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be hungry at night, but I'll take the graham crackers. I drank the milk, took the graham crackers back to my room, and somebody went to tell on me. They went to tell the staff they went to tell the staff that be slapping people, like, hey, that kid took some cookies to sure enough, I go back to the room, boom, the staff comes like, hey, did you bring something back? I was like, I wasn't gonna lie to that fool. I just slapped somebody silly. I was like, yeah, I brought back some cookies. He was like, why'd you bring it back? I was like, because I don't like the food. I traded it, and I wanted to munch on something while so I wouldn't be hungry in the nighttime.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And
Yeah.
And since I was luckily they took pity on me, I didn't end up getting slapped around, but they ended up making me exercise. They made me do like 500 of everything, like 500 push-ups, 500 jumping jacks, 500 sit-ups. Man, hey, by the time I was done with that,
Damn.
I couldn't even walk. I couldn't walk anymore. I was like, I went back to camp. Luckily, I was down for medical, so I had a doctor's note. So I had an ingrown toenail, and it worked out lovely for me. When I got back to camp, I didn't have to work out anymore. But man, I was in pain for like 2 weeks. It was all bad.
Damn, dog. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably better off just taking a quick like, damn, just get out the way, man.
Like, do you on the right cheek or the left one? Neither. Neither.
Yeah, like, what, 500, 1,000, Now, you know what? Let me I'll just take one to the cheek one time. Nah, man, no, but like, no, yeah. like all jokes aside, man. Yeah, it was brutal like that, man. It was just, man, it was crazy like that. It was very, very scary and traumatic, and you just think of like the effects of that type of, that's why they're closing all these places up. Like they're starting to close up the CYA, the camps, and all of that because of that. It didn't help. It didn't solve nothing. And it definitely wasn't a deterrent. And and people came out of these places more traumatized than healed. More scarred than anything else. And so, like, yeah, man, it was nothing nice. Most definitely, it was crazy like that, man.
Oh, you know what? I forgot it now. It was the reason I brought up the kid that had got slapped from Rockford Street was because he ended up escaping. When I got out of camp, then maybe like a month later,
Yeah.
I was watching Channel 9 and I see that fool. They had him in HRO clothes, like taking them back to the halls. He had escaped. That fool kicked the windows, those huge ass windows in Silmar. He kicked it out. He climbed over the wall, and he made it all the way down to the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And the staff happened to be pulling up into the McDonald's and ended up gaffling them up.
Damn. Man, bro. Yeah, that's crazy, right? That's wild, man. Yeah, imagine somebody. Yeah, it's like having to go to that extent, just like that. Just like goes to show, like, man, like you do all that, because of the conditions,
Yeah.
the conditions, and just just not trying to be locked up as well, but a lot of factors, come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So what ended up happening with your case? And how long did you end up staying there? Fighting in there or figuring
Right.
out what was going to
So,
happen.
right. So yeah. So like I said, like I was in there, not really knowing what the hell I was in there for, and I remember the staff, they used to like look at my file, and they used to look at me, and I could tell them like they had like like they felt sorry for me, like a face of like pity towards me, like damn, like looking at my stuff, but I still didn't. Like I was like, what, like, and they're just like, you're in here for that, and I'm just like, what are you talking about, like for what? And he's like, man, and they'll just be like, man, good luck, man. Hopefully it all works out for you, and things like that, because it's looking like you're probably gonna end up getting moved over here to these compounds. And I'm just like, what? Like, what are we? And that's like at the beginning of my arrest and stuff like that. And so finally, when I get to court and things like that, I end up finding out what I was actually arrested for, which turned out to be second-degree kidnap robbery. And I was just like, what the hell? And so at that age, for the first time, I'm looking at juvenile life, and it's like, what the hell? Like, are you serious? And I have my attorney, my attorney talking to me like, all right, so I need you to tell me what happened and things like that. And I'm just like, shoot, this is exactly what happened. Like, there was like nobody got kidnapped, none of that happened. I didn't rob nobody, And so yeah, what eventually ended up happening was, man, and I ended up going to I ended up going to trial on this, like a pre-trial or something like that, if I remember correctly. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a pre-trial, like I don't want to say that it was to fight my fitness to see if I was going to get tried as an adult, because I don't think that's what it was. I think we took it straight into like a trial, and I had a trial. I had the victim get up on the stand and testify against me, and I had my lawyer. I end up taking the stand and things like that, and man, thank goodness, man, thank God, right, that after all the testimony that the victim gave, the judge didn't believe him. the judge didn't believe that he got kidnapped because he told him, like, you had the opportunity, you left, like, you lost sight of them, they lost sight of you, like, why'd you go back if you were being held against your will and things like that. And that was the honest truth, was that no, like nobody forced them or kidnapped them or anything like that. But I don't know how what it was in the report that he stated, but that's what they were charging us with, and that's what he was claiming. That's what they were charging me with. That's what he was claiming. And so when we went to trial, they ended up dropping the kidnapping, found me guilty for second-degree robbery, and they sentenced me to 11 months in camp time, 11 months camp time for my first time. And I'm just like, what the, like, that's a lot, you know, for a kid. It's like 11 months, like, are you serious? You know, like, and then at the same time, I felt like I was, because of what I believed at the time, that I was innocent, that I hadn't done anything wrong. I just felt like a huge injustice, you know, and that, man, that created a lot of resentment towards authority and the system because of it, because of what I thought. You know, I believed that I hadn't done anything wrong, that I was being falsely accused, and you know that there was this huge injustice and his too died and things of that nature. And so, yeah, man, I ended up getting 11 months camp time, a RAP program, and like you said, that compound, when I was there, they had W, X, Y, and Z, and W and X were for like the it was like the HRO unit. It was where they had all the dudes fighting life or being tried as, all the kids fighting life and being tried as adults. And then Y and Z was the camp unit where you went to before you got shipped out to camp. And yeah, and so that's what ended up happening right there, man.
And Laurita 562 on TikTok is asking, how old were you?
I was 15.
15. Okay, so you got a 11-month camp program, VAP, man. So you ended up in Camp Scobie. Was it Camp Scobie?
Shoot, I ended up in Camp Smith.
Oh, Smith, that's right. Okay, so okay, that's right. That was a vapor. They had a big thing that say VEP. I remember in Challenger, right next to Resnick.
Yeah, Yep. It was called the Violence Alternative Program.
Yep. I remember that. My first camp program, I ended up in Camp Resnick, and then I ended up going to Camp Scudder for the rest of it. 8 weeks and 8 weeks. And then, like you, on my second time that I went to camp, I got sentenced to a year in camp, and I was devastated, man. I came out of that courtroom just crying, man. I was like, man, a year? Like, a year when you're sick? When I was 17 at that time. So, a year is a long time when you're a teenager. So, like, I couldn't wrap my head around, being off the streets for a year. That was gonna take me out of the game for a whole long time. But luckily, at the last moment, right before I got sentenced, the judge ended up giving me a break. She was like, you know what? If you do good in camp, I'm gonna put on here that you could come back earlier, so you could come back like at 8 or 9 months. So my whole camp program, I did good. I came back home, got my G. I went back to court. And I was scared because when I was going, I used to go to East Lake Department 202, Judge Hollowitz, and everybody that was going to her courtroom from camp, they were all getting denied. She wasn't letting anybody go home. Like all these fools were coming back, and I would ask them, "Hey, what happened? Hey, Department 202, she ain't letting anybody go home." I was like, "Oh hell no, I got Department 202." So I was shitting bricks when I'm going back to court.
Right.
But my counselor wrote me a excellent report, and man, I was gone. I didn't go back, so that was it.
Yeah. Good looking out.
Yeah.
For sure, man. No, definitely. Hell yeah. Man, that's good. That came up. You came up early release.
Yeah, but I was still screwed because on my first camp program, I didn't gangbang, but me and some other dude, we ended up jumping some gangster in the day room, and we got away with it. But what ended up happening was a bunch of people threw rat on us. They ended up throwing rat. They ended up telling their parents. Their parents complained to the counselors, and then like a week later, they took me to the box, and then they couldn't figure out, cause I was never a troublemaker. I was always like under the radar, like I never caused any problems, and it was like out of character for me to do something like that. So the staff, with the story they came up with, was they said that I got jumped into a neighborhood because they couldn't figure out, like what happened. So so when I ended up going home, they ended up putting me on gang unit. So normally I would go to the probation department on Crenshaw. Since they moved me over to gang unit probation, I would have to go all the way to Imperial and freaking Vermont or Normandy or something, man. And then so that carried over. I was never able to get off that gang
Le
probation.
queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And when I came home, I was already 18, but I ended up violating because my probation officer he would always make appointments with me, but he was never there. So after like the third or fourth time of him standing me up, I stopped going to them, and they ended up violating me. And then I ended up getting to go to county jail over a juvenile probation a violation.
Oh, wow.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, you're probably better off. I mean, either way you win, in county you probably weren't going to do as much, but then camp was like a little bit, a lot better actually than going to the county jail,
Yeah, you know what? I should have taken the opportunity to see for what it was, because I got a free ride. Because if I would have paid attention at that time, I would have never had an adult criminal record. But I didn't pay attention to it, and I ended up going back a few more times. And finally, after I think like the fourth time I hit county jail, that's when I kind of figured it out that life was not for me. I wasn't cut out for it, and I was gonna go head up and throw in the towel and change my life around. So yeah, I saw it for what it was, and it wasn't aligned with what I wanted to become. So I decided to walk away. But like once again, like I mentioned earlier on, I never got into gangbanging. I never belonged to a neighborhood. I was around all those things. A lot of my friends, my peers, and people I associated with, they get caught up in that life. So I was familiar with it. I just didn't want to. It didn't interest me. But I did like to be around it. So I do understand the mentality and the things that happen around. Even if you're not part of those type of things, if that makes any sense.
This call is now being recorded.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So man, yeah, you know what? So I went to court, and I didn't know. Well, you know what? I think I had like 30 days of JAWS too, and there was no way in hell I was gonna do 1 day of JAWS, let alone 30 days of JAWS. But did you ever get JAWS? Man, JAWS? No way.
No, I never.
Do you know what JAWS was?
I never got JAWS.
No.
I'm very familiar with it, but I'm a little familiar with it. But I think you have to refresh in my memory.
So JAWS was, man, they would take you. It was like hard labor. Like they would take you like to clean up freeways. I don't know, but I used to hear horror stories about it that like people would go once and they would never go back. So I was like, man, screw that. If they didn't go back after the first time, I'm not gonna even go to the first time myself. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'd rather just do the time. So when I came home, because I think I had originally when I was on probation, I had 200 hours of community service, and I think I only did like 1 day. And then the judge was like, screw it, okay, we're going to go ahead and just switch it over to 30 days of JAWS. Like that was going to be any better. And I didn't even do one. So so they ended up, so I walked into court. I got there late to top it off. You got to be there like before 8 o'clock. I got there after 8. I knocked on the door, and the bailiff was like, I gave my name. And then he was like, okay, I'll step inside. And then he was like, take off your belt, and boom, they threw me into the adult tank right there. And then I don't know if you've ever been to Silmar, or to Eastlake, they had like all these benches, and then they had like a TV, and then everybody was facing the TV in the wall, and everybody just sees me walking into the county jail. They're like, oh damn, he's going to county jail. And I remember being on those benches looking at people go to county jail. I'm like, oh shit, these fools are in the big leagues, you know. But you know, so I ended up getting thrown in that tank. I ended up getting picked up by the county bus. Oh no, it was like the van, and then I had to do the full 30 days because what they did was they didn't sentence me. The judges gave me a court date 30 days from that day, and then from there I had to go back in 30 days. So came back to camp. I mean, went back to court, got released from. I ended up getting released, but I had to go back to county to get released. And then, like I said, I didn't learn. I didn't learn from that whole experience. I kept on, you know, trying it till finally I snapped out of it.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes. You know, they like somebody posed me this question earlier, and we were talking about like juveniles and all that stuff, and they're like, and they posed me like, you know, that was early intervention for you, right? Like that was intervention for you, like to get your shit straight, like right? And so I said, yeah, and then so I thought about it, right? And I was like, that's a great point, you know, like to say that, yeah, for sure that was early intervention for the meantime. However, that early intervention takes you only so far until they release you and they send you back to the same environment they got you to that place in the first place, you know. So it was like, yeah, they'll take you out of your neighborhood or wherever you grew up at, where you know you were getting in trouble and up to no good. But then when you got out, it's like you got sent back to the exact same place where you were doing all these things. So it was like, it didn't work, you know. And it's not like families had the money to like move out of that neighborhood or had the, you know, the income. Like you know, you go back to the same place, and it's like when you go back to the same place, what do you end up doing? You know, you go back to doing the same thing, whatever you were used to and accustomed to doing. It's like that's what you end up going back to, you know. So that's just what happened, you know. That's just what ended up happening. So things like that.
Yeah.
That's why it's that revolving door.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, looking back at it now, the camp system wasn't too bad, man. They used to feed us. They used to feed us pretty good, and you were going to school. You know, occasionally you would see a fight here and there. It wasn't too crazy like the halls, and you know, it's funny because me and my friends, you know, sometimes, you know, when we get together, we'll talk about the cake, like how the cake in the halls was not the cake in in camp was like the best cake ever. You know, like they used to give you some big old pieces of cake, big old pieces of chicken.
I used to fight for them cakes and slices of cake, man. I remember catching fights for like getting served a small piece. Used to get hot. Like,
yeah.
Like, hell, you know. Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah. I remember like you would have to eat your vegetables if you wanted to get a cake, and I hate cooked vegetables. Like I'll mess with like carrots, but if they're cooked, I can't eat them. Me dan asco. So I remember one time I got the cake, and then the staff was like, "Hey, you gotta eat your vegetables." I'm like, "Oh fuck! If I eat this vegetable, I'm gonna throw up all over I'm about to throw up all over the place." And so that's when he wasn't looking, I got my little milk carton and I stuffed it in with all the vegetables in there, and boom, that took care of that. But man, I used to hate when the certain staff was there, because he would want to make you eat your vegetables if you want the damn dessert. I don't want no damn vegetable. Just give me the dessert and let's call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Oh man, dude. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
So prior to this case, right? You hadn't done a day in the halls prior to that day, right?
Yeah. No, I had not gone to juvenile hall at all before that, and so for that to have been my first time, it was a very tough experience. Very rough.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Yeah.
And then you know what? And then so you mentioned that you got sentenced to you said 9 months or 11 months? 11 months you said, right?
Yeah, like 11 months. I think it was about a year, but I fought my case for like a month.
Okay, that's what I was about to
So
say. If they
yeah,
counted, your that whatever time you were fighting your case, but normally in juvenile court,
yeah,
that time was lost. Like you weren't gonna do that because the way it was broken down when you would get to camp, yeah, it was through
yeah.
phases.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, but yeah,
So
that's what I ended up getting.
so do you remember your ride up to camp when transportation comes to pick you up and you go up to Challenger from Silmar?
Yeah. I remember because I remember it and I remember it even more because I remember having to go there in my younger years to visit my brother because my older brother had ended up going to one of those camps in his younger years. And so when it came my turn to go, it was like I was kind of familiar with it. I remember, man, it had these big ass walls, but like, um, it was like a little prison as well. It was a camp. I mean, it was dorms and stuff like that, but just the way it was like fortified and built, it was like, damn, like looking at these big ass walls. And I remember them taking us there. I believe they took us in a van too. I don't think it was a bus, kind of like how they transport us now, but in prison. Um, but yeah, man, I remember driving over there and then finally getting there, and it's just these tall, these big old white walls, and it's like, damn, what are you driving me into? And he's got this big little sign, Challenger Camp, in memory of the Challenger, whatchamacallit, that exploded.
The
The
astronaut
first blast.
astronauts, I think that would
It,
be astronauts, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it was just it's so ironic they named this detention facility after that. It's pretty weird. But yeah, so yeah, I remember getting there, man, and then you see the big old walls opening up, like in this little van driving in there, and it's like it's swallowing you up into like vans, like this vast freaking place of like what the hell, like hundreds of
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
kids in fatigues, freaking getting getting housed there, and freaking all these camps in there. Like it was crazy. I was just like, damn, what the hell is this? Like, what did I like got myself into? And yeah, I arrived there. I arrived there. They put me in Camp Smith, and so being that it was the VAP program, it had a bunch of violent offenders. It was called the Violence Alternative Program. So it had that caliber of people in there, of kids in there. So it was like even there, it was like fights, and it was popping, man. It was popping up in there,
Yeah.
In that camp, yeah.
Hey, well, at least you didn't end up in
Yeah.
Scobie, man, because in Scobie they had all the psych med babies were there.
Like Med Scobie. Yes, like Med Scobie. Yeah, I already know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I remember because when we used to march and we used to yell arcading, that was like one of the ways we used to diss these other camps, like Psych Med Scobie and things like that, and then and then we had Resnick. I can't remember what we used to call Resnick, but yeah, it was known, it was known by everybody like what that camp was.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think Resnick at that time when I was there in '97, it was probably one of the more stricter camps, to be at. They were known for that, and yeah, and for Smith, man, yeah, I remember a lot of fights always happening. All kinds of commotion was always going on there. And you know what? Another interesting thing that's located right next to that camp is they got a prison. That's like where Lancaster Prison is at. So you would hear shots going off.
Lancaster State Prison.
Yep.
Yep.
So I remember,
Absolutely.
I remember, hearing shots, like wondering like what the hell was going on over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So man, so how much time did you end up spending at Camp Smith?
And Camp Smith, I think that program was for like 3 months. For like 3 months before I got transferred out, man, and during that time too. So when I remember when I fought my case too, that my dad had showed up to my trial, and I remember when I lost trial, and my dad had been, he had been arrested. He'd been into like county jails and stuff like that for like drunk driving and DUIs, and like he had his record. He had his fair share of doing time. So I remember going up to camp and things like that, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna lean on my dad to like, and even when I first got arrested, like I'm gonna lean on my dad, and even my brother and things like that, like I'm gonna lean on them to kind of like put me up on game, kind of teach me the ropes, like what is it like, what am I supposed to do and things like that. And during that time, my dad had just won a settlement for a broken leg at his job, and he ended up getting cashed out like a few thousand dollars, like in the uppers of like I want to say like 20, 30, or like 40,000, somewhere around there. And he ended up getting into drinking heavily. He was balling. He had all that money and things like that. And so while I was in camp, I'm depending on this type of guidance, on support, from my dad and things like that. And while I was in Smith, I get a visit one day, and it's my mom.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
If anything, I'll just call you back.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
All right.
So, these calls only last for 15 minutes, which doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, I mean that's how they run the program over there. They offer free calls, but they're limited to 15 minutes for some odd reason. I in my opinion, I think that the 15 minutes should be removed from tablets. I understand on the wall phones, because if you gotta use them, then there's other people out there that want to use them. Then yeah, cool, 15 minutes. That's a cool number. But on these tablets, it's unlimited phone calls. Shouldn't have a limit. How much does a call cost? So these calls are free. The state of California started offering free phone calls last year. So they could call anywhere in the U.S. They could call anywhere in the world, and their calls are free. The only thing that does cost is the video visits. The video visits are 20 cents a minute, which isn't that bad. Isn't that bad now, because they put restrictions on them on how much they could charge. All right.
This call is now being recorded.
I live 15 minutes from Challenger and Lancaster.
Esta es Global Calling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en
Stripping. Hello.
de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Esta llamada.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Eric.
Hello?
All right.
Yeah.
So we have Sanho 408. She writes, God with you, keep you in my prayers. And then we also got Oh Lovely Sunshine. She's asking how much does the cost, and I let her know that they're free $99. And we got KC fan underscore, and she lives 15 minutes from Challenger and Lancaster Prison.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Oh man, just going right down memory lane.
Yeah. So you end up so you're at camp. How many weeks did you say you had to spend there again? Or 3 months, right? You said 3 months.
3 months, yeah. 12. I believe it's 12 weeks.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And then
12-week program.
did you learn anything? Like, were you going to school? What was did you get anything positive from camp or from Challenger?
Well, yeah. So, So I was going to school and stuff like that, and it was kind of like they kind of ran like a boot camp in a way, because they used to have. I mean, I learned to march. And yell cadence and things like that, because we did it every single freaking day. When we marched, left, and yelling cadence and things like that. And school, school wasn't really they didn't really have the best educational system in those places. So school was just like you went over there, and the teachers, they would put on some oldies, and they would just put on some oldies, and they would just let you write letters, or like give you something to do, like nothing really teachable or anything like that. I remember, at least as far as the teachers I had, like, and those were like the best teachers, because they were like, nobody was in there like, you want to go to this class, like that teacher's cool. She'll just put on oldies, and she'll let you write letters and things like that. And so the education there at the time that I remember wasn't all that great, and that's kind of what we did in school. Go over there, and sometimes even like I remember fighting in them classes too, like people just acting dumb and things like that. And that's what I was kind of getting towards as well, that it was during this time too that I ended up getting a visit from my parents, and it just messed me up. This visit messed me up, because I find out my mom's telling my dad, like Dile, tell him what's happening, tell him what's going on. And I'm just right there like, what's going on, like what's cracking? And it's like my dad's like, man, he's like, I'm gone, like I gotta go. And I'm like, what do you mean you gotta go? And like, where are you going? He's like, I'm leaving the States. I'm leaving to El Salvador. And I'm like, what? Like what do you mean? And so it turns out that because of like the all this excess money he had and everything that he was doing, and he started drinking more heavily, and he was just being out there carelessly, that he freaking got in a hit and run, driving hit and run, and he freaking and he left the scene. And like about that week, and then he decided that he wasn't gonna turn himself in or nothing, and so he just split on us. And so it was during that time that I lost my dad too. He ended up taking off on El Salvador, of course.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Hello, Eric.
Right.
So okay, you're back. We lost you there for a moment.
Oh shoot!
So we lost you after. So you the part where your dad he came to tell you that that he was gone. He was going back to El Salvador because he did a hit and run.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me still?
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. It sounds like it's starting to do with stuff. Like, yeah, no, man, yeah. When I found that out, it was like, man, during this experience, during this whole thing that I was going through, I was losing my dad as well. He was just like, he's like, man, like, I committed, I did, committed this crime. I'm not gonna turn myself in. I'm gonna bounce. And it was like, what? Like, like, are you serious? And like, I started getting angry. Like, so what about us? And he couldn't answer me. He couldn't answer that question. Like you guys will be all right. Like it was crazy. It was like, wow. Like that really messed me up. And so during that time in camp, it was like I had built up more resentment and anger, and I was just like acting out. Like if anybody, said something or whatever, like wanted to pick a fight, I was more than willing to fight because of the only way that I was able to express, my pain. And so, yeah, during that camp experience, I ended up losing my dad. He ended up taking off, and it really messed me up, man. Like bad, like especially because that's who I was like, I was relying on and depending on to like help me through this ride that I was going through this roller coaster that I was traversing in the juvenile system. And so when that happened, it was like, screw it, just something more to like continue in my recklessness. Another reason why I chose to continue in my destructive behavior. So that's, it kind of had that effect on me during camp.
Hey, and did the hit and run ever catch up to your dad?
No. He went over there and lived over there until 2020, I believe, where 2020 until he passed away. He passed away. He drank himself to death.
Damn.
And his organs couldn't sustain no more. Couldn't keep him breathing. And yeah, man, like he stayed the rest of his time over there and continued doing what he loved. Just being man, just living his life. Being a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
That's the song that I be thinking about when, or that song makes me think of him. Papa was a Rolling Stone, man. That's just what he did, and so yeah, God rest his soul, man. But yeah, in 2020 he passed away of organ failure, too much drinking.
Man. So, and I was just thinking about something. So this was in you said in 2003, right? That you went to camp.
Yeah.
And then I was just thinking. So by 2006, you caught this new case. So within a 3-year period, you went from being it wasn't even convicted because they didn't even call it that when you were in the halls. What did they call it? I don't remember what the hell.
Adjudication.
Something. Yeah. Huh. And then so you went from that to camp, and then within 3 years, you caught this case that landed you in prison. So with a triple digit number of years sentence.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And and it wasn't, and that was just my first camp program, because once I got out, like I said, you go back to the same environment that taught you the things that you knew and got you to the places where you ended up at, and getting back out. I remember I got out on house arrest. Even after I did that year, they let me out on house arrest. Like, what the hell? So that was even more of a trip, and in 2004, and it's like and so I was on house arrest, but man, that didn't last long. Like 3 months later, I was already back in camp. Like within a 3-month period, I was already back in camp, and I ended up getting another 6 months to on top of that, on top of
the 9 or 11 months, yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and absolutely, and like I said, these experiences, man, they kind of shape you, you know. They kind of shape you. They kind of influence your decisions, your thinking-making process, you know, and things like that. And so, yeah, getting back out, and then my dad not being around no more, like no, I ain't have to worry about that no more. So it was like, shoot, you know, do whatever the hell you want. Like, I mean, you know, my mom tried, but you know, it's like it's hard raising 2 bad kids on your own, you know, like me and my brother. So it's just continued the destructive lifestyle. And I was back in within 3 months, and then I got out in 6 months, and then got out, and then hit county jail for the first time, got out, and then committed my crime. And shoot, this is like you said, within that 3-year period, back in here, back incarcerated. So it's true what they say, you know, like once you're in the system, you're stuck in the system, you know. And that's ultimately what happened.
And let me ask you, do you remember the first time walking into county jail? Because I remember my first time going to county jail, going through all those damn. Well, first they walk you into the Twin Towers, and then they hold you in that holding cell, and they wait till it gets full, like full jam packed of people, and then the deputies come in. You know, they make you get undressed and throw all your property, and they go through your stuff. They start throwing stuff away. Then they take you down, and they ask you questions about like if you're, you know, if you want to take your life, or if you have any fears of your life being hurt or whatever. They take your picture, and then they move you from what is it yeah, from tank to tank. Yeah, and you go like through like 50. It feels like you go through like 50 tanks. You got fools that stink, their patas, bums, and it's just like the worst smell ever. And you got people sleeping on the floor. You got some people sleeping using the toilet paper as a pillow. People passing gas and burping, probably having to wash your teeth like in a year. It's just freaking disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. You got all kinds of diseases. You got staff, like staff disease and all that in there. Oh man, and that processing, man, that processing takes about a day. Like you're not.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Yeah, I remember processing for like a day and a half, 2 days before I ever got to a cell, and you're just going through that. Through that whole process from tank to tank, corridor to corridor, and it's like and with like hundreds of people of all kinds, of all types, with different lifestyles, different, you know, different everything, and it's just like, damn, what the hell, and very unsanitary too. It's like, oof, you catch that staff, man, that's all bad, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, you got to be super careful with that. But yeah, I remember that. I remember that vividly too. Going through that.
Man, I remember going into the shower. That shower area, they have like these. It's like a long
Le
hall.
queda un restante de 60 segundos.
They got a bunch of showers, and then the worst thing that I remember is that the drain wasn't working. So all these people are taking their shower at the same time, and the water's like up to your knees, and you see like all this sebo, it's just this filth. And you have no sandals. You have no sandals. You're barefoot, so you're not off to a good start.
No, not at all. Yeah, you're set up to catch something. That's for sure. Yeah, and unless you got like you got a good immune system or something, and like you're being super careful, like man, you're probably gonna catch some kind of rash. If not, you know, Ebola or staph or something, you know, because yeah, it ain't no joke.
Or Freeway Freddy's gonna
Yeah.
be munching on your toes or something while you're
Oh,
sleeping.
yeah, you better watch out. Yeah, you better watch out for that too. Eesh. Yeah, it's giving me the creeps just thinking about it.
All right, so he should be calling back shortly, and we'll go, man. And for those of you wondering who Freeway Freddy is, Freeway Freddy is not a person or a cop. It's actually a rat. It's a rat. It's rats the size of a little cat. Man, these things are huge. You see them running wild all over county jail. It's disgusting. If you've never been there, hey, don't go. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you going there. It's all bad, all bad. And man, I just read the comments right now. Man, my condolences to you, Sanho 408.
This call is now being recorded.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Hello, Eric.
Hey.
So, a moment ago, you had mentioned to us that that your dad, passed away when he was in Salvador due to drinking. I got some comments on here that I want to read for you on the TikTok side, and Oh Lovely Sunshine put prayers to Eric, and then and Sanho or Casey fan. Oh, sorry. Casey fan is actually sharing too that her daughter passed away while she was pregnant. So I was sending her my condolences, for her loss.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm so sorry to hear that.
And Laurita 562 was asking. She wanted to know how old you are right now.
Oh, I'm 37.
37. Okay. Yeah, you've been so. And at what age did you end up catching your controlling case or your life case?
Yeah, I ended up. I committed my crime at the age of 19. Yeah.
Man. Okay. So do you want to get into do you? I'm not sure if you have any appeals or anything. If you do, then obviously I don't want you to, I'm not trying to set you up for failure. So I mean, if you want to speak about your case, or maybe even like the day or two before it occurred, kind of to see like what kind of mind frame you were at that time. And see,
Right.
like what happened, what events led up to you ultimately committing the the crime, and that got you that amount of time.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, no, I take full responsibility for my actions, man. I don't have an appeal, and even if I did, to the point where I'm at is like I hold myself accountable for my actions, for the despicable crime of murdering somebody and causing a lifetime of pain to families, and attempting to murder 3 others and continue to inflict pain on them, and the trauma I caused and the effects that it had on my community. Like, I understand that now. I understand the magnitude of my crime, and yeah, like I don't shy away from it. Like I'm ashamed of it, and I regret it every day. If I could go back, I mean, there was nothing that I could do to change it, right? And so I would have to take myself way back to like when I started smoking weed and deciding to join gangs. Like, if I could go all the way back there before then that's what I would change. But as far as like what happened that night, there was nothing really different that would have changed. If it wouldn't have been that victim, it would have been another one, you know, because that's just the lifestyle that I was living at the time, the mindset that I had, and things like that. So no, I don't mind. I don't mind touching on it. Yeah, so at the age of 19, I make the decision, you know, I made the conscious choice to callously murder an innocent person, and consequently attempting to murder 3 others as well, in the commission of this crime, all because I believe that he was an innocent person, man. It was an innocent person. I believe that he was my rival. I believe he was my enemy. I know now that I had no enemies. These people weren't my enemies. You know, it was something that I, you know, I fed myself, and I, you know, believed, like, there's no such thing, man. These individuals, you know, when you get in this lifestyle, when we get into this gang banging, we like I thought, you know, like, oh, these are my enemies. Like, no, you know, enemies are like the terrorists and things like that. The enemies of the state and things like that. But like for us, like growing up as gang members and things like that, like these individuals were no different than for me growing up. You know, like we shared the same struggle. You know, we went through the same things. Like if it weren't for the name of that neighborhood or the color of that rag, it was like we'd probably be best of friends, you know. But yet and still, here we are trying to kill each other and trying to, you know, trying to murder each other, trying to stand for something that at the end of the day is man, it's insignificant, it's meaningless, you know. It's so. Yeah, man, that's kind of how I feel about that. Yeah, I was 19 when I committed my murder and my 3 attempted murders, and during that time, I was living a very destructive lifestyle. I was heavily into the gang, drugs. I was heavily into methamphetamine at the time. And anything that I could get involved with, like I was using, you know. I became a drug addict as soon as I started smoking weed, and that progressed to, you know, everything else. Like like Jesse says all the time, if it dissolves, I'm involved. You know, that's just kind of what it was. And so I was living that kind of lifestyle. And prior to the commission of my crime, man, I had about a year prior to that. Yeah, it was about a year prior to that. I lost my childhood friend. My childhood friend that I grew up in. I lost. He ended up getting murdered in a gang-related shooting. You know, so it was in that instance where when that occurred in my life that I had just kind of had it. I guess you could say that's what. Like, I mean, the mentality was already there, so it's not an excuse to say like, oh, that's when I decided. It was a sequence of events, you know, just all the life experiences, all the anger, the shame, the guilt, the pain, the fear, all that stuff embodied in accumulation with everything else that was going on that eventually drove me to commit such a heinous crime. And so like I said, like about a year prior to that, one of my homeboys ended up getting murdered. One of my childhood friends from the gang that I used to be from, and man, that just threw me in a downward spiral from then on. It was just like drugs, gang banging, criminality, you know, not caring about anybody or anything, including myself. And so it just happened that when I finally did get the chance to, you know, let out some of that some of that anger that I was holding on to, mainly, you know,
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
anger, you know, but mainly behind that, because, you know, anger is a secondary emotion that brought about other emotions, and that emotion that was driving my anger was pain, right? And so I ended up committing this crime in 2006, which eventually, and during that time too, I was just looking for the opportunity, you know, especially being under the influence, and just not properly dealing with my having no coping tools, not properly dealing with my stress, my issues. It was like, it seemed like that was that outlet. That was my outlet, you know. And so during that time, after I lost my friend, it was like I gotta retaliate, you know. Like, I didn't care, like, just like, and the excuse was I was doing it for him, but at the end of the day, I was doing it for me because I was hurting inside. And you know, you say like, it's for the hood and this and that. Nah, it wasn't for the hood or none of that. It was for status. It was to elevate my status within, you know, my gang and where I belonged, and putting myself on the map, that I may be feared, that I may be known, that I won't become the victim. And so, you know, and I had that mentality, you know, rather, you know, than beliefs, like, you know, rather you than me. I gotta get you first before they get me. And it's like, I'm losing homies, and it's like, nah, that's not gonna happen to me, you know. Like, I'm gonna get you first before you get me, or like, you know, if we're dying, I mean, might as well just go out with a bang and things like that. So, you know, I fed myself all these I had all this distorted thinking, you know, and this destructive lifestyle, and so it was like, that's just what it was, man. I just committed fully into my destructive lifestyle, man, and ultimately ending up and hurting so many people in my community and in the lives of so many that to this day, like, I know they still hurt, you know, lifetime of pain. And so, yeah, that's what ended up happening. I ended up hanging out. I was hanging out with some girls, you know, and a couple of my friends on that night, and we were all partying, you know, we were all drinking, we were all under the influence. Like, I think that day, well, I know that day I was drinking, I was smoking weed, and I was smoking P-Dogs, you know, I was smoking rock and weed, and I was like heavily under the influence, and so we were looking for parties, we were looking for something to do, and the girls that we were with ended up finding a party, pretty nearby, and they were just like, hey, you guys want to go? And it was like, where's it at? And it's like, it's over here. I was like, oh, shoot, it's in that neighborhood? And I'm with like another one of my ex-associates, one of my ex-friends, homies and stuff from the gang that I used to be from. And I look at him like, shoot, should we go? Like, you know? And so he was just like, man, I don't know. But I was, you know, I didn't care. You know, it's either, in the lifestyle, you're either looking to kill or to get killed. And it was like, that's just what it was. And so it's so hopeless, you know? And so we decided to go. And it turned out that, you know, when we got there, it was a rival gang's party, and it was crazy because we already knew that, you know, and it just like you choose not to believe, like, or you choose not to pay attention to the signs for whatever reason. Probably just from being under the influence and your inhibitions dropping and things like that. And so it was like let's roll, and that's kind of what so that's what ended up happening. Like, we showed up, and it was, you know, the wrong party to show up to, and we got banged on. You know, like we claimed our gang, and you know what's crazy was that I fronted.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Ooh, it's gonna hang up. Should I call you back?
Yeah, we'll do one more, and then we'll be at. Oh shit, we're already 2 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll do one more, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight, because I gotta, unfortunately, or depending on how you look at it, fortunately, I'm going to work tomorrow, so I got enough time for one more.
Okay. I'll wrap it up.
All right, cool.
I'll call you back.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right. Hey, thank you. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Whether you're on TikTok or if you're on the YouTube side, I'm running a simultaneous stream here. And if you're on YouTube, that's what you're seeing right there in the middle. You're seeing the live comments. Well, there's no comments on TikTok right now, but if there was, you would be seeing them on YouTube. So that's what it is right there. And if you're wondering about the payphone and that CDCR jacket, that is in my room right here. That I got. You know, I got all this stuff going on. I got the jacket, I got the payphones, and those payphones actually work. If you call in, that blue little payphone right there, that one will ring.
This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Eric Fuentes.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel-Link.
Hello.
Yo. Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So where was I at? Yeah, man. That's kind of what was happening during that time too. During that time too, I was heavily into methamphetamines. Like, I was using every single day for like the past year and a half, 2 years. Like, I had gotten involved heavily with drugs, like drinking, meth, anything you name it. Like, I was consuming it. So yeah, that night we wound up at this party, and it turns out that, you know, there was rival gang members there. And so, I mean, I don't want to say luckily or fortunately or whatever, but we ended up leaving. We were able to get out of there without anything happening. And while it could have all just ended there or just stopped there, like, we left, we got away. But given the mentality that I had, man, and the callousness and the anger and pain that I was harboring, man, for a long time, that it was like, this was the opportunity. And then come to find out, and not come to find out, but it turned out that the acquaintance that I was with, my ex-homie and stuff, right, from the gang I used to be from, he had just got shot by this gang, like, about a few months prior to that as well, you know. So it was like, oh man, like, this is it, you know, this is the opportunity, like, this is the run back, you know, the way we thought, you know, this is a way to retaliate, to get you back. And so, yeah, we ended up leaving, and unfortunately we made the decision to come back, man. And we ended up coming back, and next thing you know, the guy that I was with, you know, he was supposed to get off and do his thing, and he decided not to. He didn't, you know, he was like, he couldn't do it. You know, I don't know if it was just the alcohol, whether it was because he was under the influence and things like that. But he decided to say no, and so I just took it upon my hands, and I committed that crime, man. I made the conscious choice, man, to end this individual's life who was at the front gates of the party, who I recognized to be the individual that had hit us up when we first got there, man. And unfortunately, man, I got off, and I shot him 5 times, man, and shot 3 other people at the same time during that commission of the crime, man. And to this day, it's like it was yesterday, you know. And man, how I wish that never happened, but unfortunately it did. And so that's kind of what drives my change today and my recovery, you know, my remorse, my giving back, my being of service, my living in honor of, you know, my victims, the people that I hurt. And so that's what ultimately led me to prison, man. My poor choices, you know, because it wasn't a mistake and things like that, and people try to say, like, you made a mistake, and at the end of the day, no, it wasn't a mistake. It was a conscious choice, and, you know, that's just what it was. Like, there was no mistake about it, you know. A mistake is like when somebody trips and falls and it's like, hit something, like, oh, shoot, that was an accident, and things like that, but nah, it was just, you know, so consumed in that lifestyle and the drug addiction and the criminality and all these other things, all these driving forces that ultimately led me to commit my crime. And that's what I'm in here for, man.
Let me ask you. So, you know, when this crime took place, were you caught at the scene? Were you picked up on your house, or what led up to the authorities finding out it was you that committed this this heinous crime?
No,
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
no, yeah, I was picked up about about 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later. I was picked up little by little. The guys that I was with that night, some of them end up getting arrested that same day, just because this happened like at midnight on that day, and then like later on, you know, that day in the afternoon, they end up getting picked up in the neighborhood. And so when they got picked up, yeah, they just, you know, that's when it just, one person said this, and, you know, eventually somebody ended up telling, you know, somebody ended up coming clean, and that's how I ended up getting arrested, which I'm grateful for. I'm glad, you know, that happened, because you know, I'm being held accountable. I'm being held accountable for what happened, and it was either that or I probably would have ended up dead my damn self, you know, if I stood out there and probably got away with it and things like that. And so I hold no resentment, no nothing towards anybody that kind of, you know, that was involved in any of this. That you know, some would say got me caught up, but it wasn't they got me caught up. It did the right thing, you know.
And after that you know, after that event happened, how fast did you figure out, or did you know at the moment once you and I'm trying to avoid saying certain words so we don't get the stream cut. So when you let loose, did you know that
Right.
person was gone at that moment? And then after you left the scene, uh, were you like in fear of getting arrested, or or did you feel bad about it, or was it just like, man, that's what you signed up for, and you were fine with it at that time? You didn't feel anything.
Oh man, it was like you kind of, it's like I kind of felt something. I knew that what I had done was like huge, I knew it was like, damn, but it was like, um, living in that lifestyle, it's like, yeah, you kind of get that sense of like, this is, it was acceptable, it was acceptable, to me at that time, like that's just what it was. It was that gang life, like I said, like it was like, you know, that's what we signed up for, that's what we signed up to do. And so, and you're being taught these things too, like even
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
even when I'm losing my friends, and then it's like, wow, all right, well then it's like let's continue this cycle, you know. And so I felt that I wasn't, that was I scared of getting arrested? Yeah, absolutely. But was it because of the crime I had committed? Because I felt bad for what I had done? No, no, heck no. I didn't want to get caught because I didn't want to get caught because I didn't want to, answer for my crime, I didn't want to face the consequences. I wasn't trying to get life and things like that. So, it wasn't that I felt bad for that. I felt bad of like, I felt scared of getting arrested and having to do life in prison. Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you for answering that. So once the police finally caught up to you, what did they catch you at your house, or how was it that they finally ended up catching up to you?
So yeah, so they ended up they knew where I lived, they knew my address and things like that, and so they knew exactly who they were looking for, and so like they had like a stakeout at my house for like a week or two, trying to once they found out where I lived and who I was, it was like they were trying to see, they were trying to catch me, they were looking for me and things like that, and so I kind of knew that I was being sought after, that I was being looked for, that they were looking for me, because I found out like, oh man, this person ended up telling, or my name got thrown out there, and so I knew that somebody had got arrested, and so it was like that suspicion, or that fear, like, oh man, did he say something and things like that. So I was kind of like trying to stay low key, but at the same time I was trying to like hard not to believe it. And so I walked out of my house one day and walking down the street, with one of my buddies, just a regular black and white unit pulled up on me and just asked me a question like, hey, just wondering like, hey, is this your name? Like, do they call you this? And I'm just like, nah. I'm like, nah, I'm such and such from this place and that place. And she's like, oh, all right. And she's like, hey, well, I just want to ask you a couple of questions and things like that. And I'm just right there standing like, hold on, like what's going on here, right? And this is like a couple of weeks after having committed this heinous crime, and I'm just like, man, what's going on here? And yeah, like I said, they had like a stakeout, so it was like a little ambush that they had on me, and there was like a plainclothes officer all around, plainclothes officers all around, regular cars, and they just, rolled up on me like as this officer was asking me questions. a regular looking dude just pulled up behind me and just grabbed me and just threw me to the car, and that was it, man. They had me. They arrested me, and I was surrounded like instantly. And yeah, so that's how I ended up getting caught.
And man, I think that's a good point. Yeah, I mean that's a good point to leave off at. We only got about 2 minutes, so if you wanna give any shout outs to maybe your wife or any loved ones out there, it'll probably be a good time to take advantage of that moment.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that, man. No, I just want to say thank you, man. I appreciate you for the opportunity you gave me to share my story, and for all those people listening and sending their shout-outs and prayers and love, man. I appreciate that as well. But like you said, yeah, absolutely, man. I was supposed to call my girl back earlier, and then, I ended up doing this, and so I want to say I love you, baby. Thank you for being so understanding, and I hope now you think you might even be listening. So I love you, Liz. I hope you have a good night. I'll try to call you right now, see if you're awake or not. But if not, I hope you have a good night and sweet dreams. I love you, baby.
And if she's not listening, you probably got a bunch of messages asking you why is your green light on.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, what the hell, fool? But yeah, nah, we'll be all right.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Yeah, but also, I hope that wasn't too much for the audience and things like that. And if it was, please excuse me. Like, I didn't mean to, like. I was just trying to share. Trying to be transparent and honest with my story.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it was too much because I don't think you really get into like the graphic like details. So I think you had a good balance on how you portrayed the events that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And hey, well, you know what? I want to go ahead and thank you. Man, it's about to hang up. So, hey, I want to thank you. And like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Peace.
All right. Good night.